Hey guys, it's Brett with another UnTech video. Today we're going to dive into Web Scraper or webscraper.io, which is another free web scraping, data scraping tool available through the Chrome store. It's a bit ironic that we're going to dive into this today because I've sort of formatted most of my videos speaking to people who are trying to get into web scraping but are not programmers or coders, and this program is probably the most technical of the web scraping programs that I've managed to wrap my mind around. And again, it's I'm still kind of learning it on sort of a day-to-day basis, but I thought I'd share some of the learnings here and do it in a way that will allow you to start replicating or start playing around with it yourself. So the first question that you might ask yourself is why? Why this program? Why not data miner? And there's some clear differences I think I could highlight for you. The main one is Web Scraper makes it very easy to automate large tasks, like being able to click through a list of profiles, scrape the content on the main page, and then work our way through that entire list and paginate to the next list. So a bit more automation rather than having to do each profile piecemeal when all you want is the data that's contained within several links inwards. So I'm going to show a couple of examples of exactly how this is used. And so I've decided to pick on the blockchain world today since everyone keeps talking about blockchain and Bitcoin and how everyone's looking for people that are technically savvy in this. So I've picked out kind of three conferences that are going on, and maybe you want to scrape some of the speakers, right? So for here, you could use many programs if all you want to get is a name. However, if you want to click into that name and be able to scrape the following page, name, title, a bio, maybe a Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn profile, that's something that you want to automate. This is really going to allow you to do that. So here we go. Let's dive into this, shall we? So this is a program that sits on top of here. However, the way you access it is very different. You access it by going to the inspect part, which loads up your typical inspect console, and you see Web Scraper has been added to this here. Now, it sort of uses sitemaps, much like data miner uses recipes. Actually, probably a little bit more confusing and technical. But first thing you'd want to do is create a sitemap. Now, pretty simple to do. You take the HTML, the starting URL, paste it there, and name it. Call it temp, blockchain, just for fun. Let's create that sitemap. Now, here you're at sort of at the root. All the fields you're going to put in are going to go through this box, and everything you do is actually in this box as well. So the first thing we're going to do is add a new selector. You see you have a couple of different options. You have different types. You have the ability to add regex or regular expressions, which is a very technical way to limit what text you're actually getting from within that field. It's not something I've mastered. It's quite difficult to pick up, and I'll let you know when I've done it. So for here, we're going to select link, right? Because for this one, we want to do a bunch of links, and we're going to hit the selector button, and a window pops up, similar to Data Miner, where it gives you the ability to highlight different fields. So for here, we're going to choose this box here, and it turns red. We're going to do the same thing and click this one. Now they all turn red. Again, if you're familiar with other data scrapers, not terribly dissimilar. It's already detected the selector element here, which is being obscured by this pop-up. Cool. You click enter, and it puts it in right here. And we're going to click multiple because we're not just looking to get one, we're looking to get them all. If I was curious on whether I'd been successful, I could use the element preview. Again, it turns red. If I was even more curious, I could hit the data preview, and it pops up showing me it's getting all their names. It's automatically detecting their hyperlink reference or href, and the follow, which is essentially the same thing. So we're good there. So we're going to go ahead and name it. I'm just going to name it link. It doesn't really matter what you name it, and I'm going to save it. So here we have our first part. Now, since we want to then go into each and every one of these, we're going to actually click within the link. And now you see we're actually not in the root directory or root scraping field. We're now under the link. And I want to get what's in one of these. So I'm going to click one of these just to open it up in the same window. And I'm going to begin selecting the different elements I want. So I'm going to add an element. It's going to be a text. So I'm going to go for the name, found it, H1, and I'm going to name it, name. Again, I'm going to scroll down, just save it. Add another selector. It's still going to be a text. We're not changing that. I want to get the title here, founder. I'm going to name it, founder. Now, just like I was showing you before, I could do element preview. Box shows up. Forgot what I'm looking for. I could do the data preview. It's going to show me what it's going to happen. Founder at TokenFest. Exactly what I want. Don't need to click multiple because it's just one. So I'm going to save it again. And same thing. I'm just going through the different ones. I want the bio. Cool. See what the bio is going to look like. All right. Big chunk of text. I'm going to name it bio. Save. Now I also want to get these three, which is going to be a little bit more technical because I don't want the name. Actually, let's go through this. So say I want to go for the Facebook link. I'm hovering over the box. I'm hitting it. So now it's identified the where we want to scrape. Through the element preview, it's picked it up. When I do data preview, nothing's coming out because there is no text there. It's simply just a picture. What we want is not a text. We actually want an element attribute. And if you remember from the before screen, I want the hyperlink ref or href. So I'm going to type that into the attribute name. I'm going to name this Facebook. And again, now if I hit data preview, there we go. The Facebook link is there. So I'm actually going to duplicate that. I'm going to do that for the Twitter link. Again, I don't want the middle box. I kind of want the whole circle. I want to name it Twitter. I'm going to change to element attribute. I'm going to put an href. That's ultimately what I want. And, again, if I click data preview to make sure I'm right, got the Twitter address right there. I'm going to save it. And I could do the same for the LinkedIn one, but for the sake of not boring the entire world to death, let's keep it like that. And I'm actually done. So if I was curious on what this looks like, it actually has a mapping feature, right? So if I click into this site map and the site map I named, I could go to the selector graph. It's actually going to visualize. We start in root. It goes to the links. From the links, it scrapes the following fields. Pretty simple. There's no pagination. I'm going to go back to selector here and then back to the root. And I'm actually all ready to go. I could simply click the name of my, in this case, it's a sitemap. I'm going to go to scrape. It'll allow me to delay the intervals. The fastest it will let me do is 1,000. There are cases where you want it to load slower. Maybe there's more data. You want all the data to load before it attempts to scrape it. For this, I'm pretty much good to go. So I'm going to hit start scraping. You notice a window pops up, and you're actually going to watch it go through each one of these profiles. One by one, it's actually going to work through all of them, scraping it in real time. So this is sort of an example of something you might have to do a more manual process with other scraping programs. But for here, it's given us a way to get every single conference speaker. And since it's only about 10 or 11, I think, I'm going to let this run through just to show you guys sort of what the output looks like. And I'll go on to two other examples that are somewhat similar, but we'll show you a little bit more of the versatility of this program. All right, so it's almost done. So I'm just going to slide this over here. It's done, right? Pops up, finish scraping. I can actually see what it looks like by clicking the refresh here. And you see it's picked up everything that I've asked it for. In the case where it says null, it simply means there wasn't a link. There wasn't a Facebook or Twitter link. They actually all have Twitter links. They actually all have LinkedIn links, but only 2 of them have Facebook or Twitter links, which is why it's showing null. Again, if If I wanted to export it, even simpler, I just export data to CSV, download it, and I'm going to pull this up just to show you sort of what it looks like in the Excel property. So here you go. This is sort of all the data that we asked for. It's you're dealing with a lot of biographies. It's going to be big, so I'm just going to shrink it down a little bit, put it on a row height 20 just for the hell of it. And here's sort of what we have. We don't really need the web scraping order, just showing you in sort of the order that it got it in. We don't really care about the start URL, so we're going to delete those now. But here you go. And duplicated some of it. Name, company, bio, and when there were links available, it picked it up. So pretty cool. Did that all pretty fast. I'm going to show you two other examples. I'm going to move a little bit quicker, but I want to give you a sense of it. So here's another one, Blockchain Worldwide Conference. This one has a ton of them that I might want to scrape. Now, any program could go here and maybe just get their title, but if I want to go inside of it and get their name, their bio, their title, their subtitle, it's going to require a little bit more. In some cases, this is where you're going to find the links. Maybe they have a social media link. Anyway, you just might want this information. Maybe you're going to import it into your ATS, set up a little blockchain prospect list. Whatever the case is, this is a little bit different because it's using pop-ups, right? It's not actually changing the URL, or not that we could see. So we're going to approach it a little bit differently. We're going to start off the same way. We're going to go to Web Scraper. I'm going to create my sitemap here. Same thing as before. I'm going to copy the URL. I'm going to name it temp to block. Yeah, fine. Create sitemap. Okay. So it's going to relatively start off the same way, where we're going to want to tag everything, except for this time, I'm actually going to use what's called an element selector, or an element click, if you will. An element click kind of combines not quite sure how it's different than using the pop-up one. I've just found this to be really efficient. And it's going to want me to select two things: a selector, which is what we want to scrape, and a click selector, which is what we want to click. So in terms of I'm just going to get out of this. In terms of the click selector, it's going to be all of these. So I'm going to start with one of these, and I'm going to try to get them all. And although you can't see it highlighting very well, you could see it sort of come up with the address. I'm going to use that one. And yeah, just because of how it's laid out, it's not going to show me that it's got everything. But the next part's a little bit trickier. We're going to click into one of these, and basically the selector, we're going to click select because we want to tell it that we just want to scrape what's in this box. And I could start off here, and it actually has these three letters here, S, P, and C. The P and the C stand for child and parent. I'm going to hit the parent one because I don't want just co-head. I don't want just that box. I kind of want the whole box. You see it I hit it 3 times. It's entrenched in red. And this is where it gets a little bit confusing because this box is kind of blocking our done box here. And if I escape out of it and go to hit done, you see this address is not transmitted over here. It's now put in some sort of wonky address, which we don't really want. So really, ultimately, what I want is that main one, right? So if I was gonna go through that again, select anything, parent, that's ultimately really what I want, which is div mfp dash content space div team list dash pop up. I'm actually gonna save that here. Save it. I gotta name it first. Let's call it a element selector. It's actually the first time I've ever seen it not select it, but either way, I'm gonna go back into it. I'm gonna edit it just to make sure we got it. I'm gonna do element preview, and I screwed up because it's div, not dove. Now I do element preview. And we'll fix that up right here. Div.team. There we go. The box lights up red. I finally copied it correctly. We don't need multiple because I could save it. So now we've told it that. So just to review, we have our element selector, which is going to select all the elements. And we actually want that on multiple, right? Because we want all of them. It'll give you an option on click element uniqueness. There is a difference. I usually use unique CSS selector, and I'm not actually knowledgeable enough to explain to you why you'd want to use one, not the other. Usually this is a kind of test and try. If one of these doesn't work, I'll figure out which one does and try to go through it. So now we're in the element selector and we've selected the element, but we want to now go into the element selector. So now in root element selector and choose what we want. In this case, I want the text. I want to get name, right? So we're going to get name. We're going to save it. And again, wanted to see if I got it right. Element preview, red box equals correct. And I'm also going to get title. Let's see what it looks like. I forgot. So for the element selector, if you, I'll go through every single element. Well, it's getting the title. So we're doing something right. I'm going to save it. And for the hell of it, I'm going to get the company. Right now I could go through and get the bio and anything I want there. But for the sake of that, let's save this. And we're good to go. We have everything we need here. We can, if you were curious, by clicking on data preview in the element, it will actually run through and show you if you got everything correctly, which is really the same thing as doing scrape. But for the purpose of this, let's set it to 100,000, start scraping. Right? So it's pulling it up in real time and it's running through each one of those profiles. It's actually really quick this way. Done. Refresh it. And here you go. Name, title, company. That's all we told it to get. But it'll get the bio, it'll get any of the other information that we want spread out in just this way. So that's really easy and just kind of a different way to use it. The other example is really quite similar to the other one. Here we could just get name, title, and company, but in reality, you want their bio, you want their LinkedIn. So you'd go through the same process, right? You'd open up, inspect, you'd go to web scraper, create a sitemap, copy the URL, put it in start URL, sitemap, name it example 3. Now, there's no shared recipe, so a little bit of a disadvantage there if you're looking for that sort of thing. We create the sitemap. Again, very simple. I want to go through every link. So I'm going to use a link, and I'm going to try to find the one that corresponds. So picture turned red. Let's try this one. Now they're all red. See the red box? We're good to go. Done. We're going to do multiple. And we're going to save the selector. Let's call it link. Do the element preview if you're not sure. Do the data preview. And actually, that's a great point. So we did the data preview, and it doesn't look like it's following any of the links there. So might want to adjust our element here. Let's select a new element. And maybe instead of clicking on the exact box, I'm going to try this green area. Let's try that. All right, it's a little bit different. Done. Element preview. It works. Data preview. There we go. All the links. So I know it's going to follow each one of those links. We've named it. Misspelled the name. That doesn't really matter. Save it, and we're good to go. Now, since we want it to go into the links, we're actually going to click into this like you would a directory on a computer. And we're going to choose any of these just to get to the next page. It really doesn't matter which one we choose. It doesn't have to be the first one. For this one, I'm just going to choose the second one here. And we're going to just choose what fields we want from within that link. So in this case, I want the name. I want the bio. I want the company. Now, obviously, if I was doing this for real, I'd get whatever I thought I needed. Comp. And then again, if you remember, obviously I want the LinkedIn. However, this is, let's see, get that box. However, remember, this isn't a text. If I did data preview, I get nothing because there is no text. It's just a picture. What I want is the element behind it. So we're going to do element attribute, and we know that to be href. Data preview again, see if I'm right, and I am. So that's all I'm going to do now. Get anything on this page I want. Add off, I want the sessions they're doing. Don't think I could actually download the picture, but probably maybe the reference or the href to the picture. So let's name this LinkedIn. And we're good. We could check the selector graph to make sure we're good. Root goes to the link. In every link, gets those 4 things. Looks good to me. Go back to selector. Make sure that main link is set to multiple, which it is. You can see that right here. So we're good to go. Let's scrape it. Just tell it to go as fast as it can. No, it's not element select, so it's a little bit slower. But I think you'll get the point that it's going to move through them automatically. You could close out. You can minimize the window, go do something else. And I'm actually going to move this window half off screen at the moment because I want to show you that you could actually refresh it as it's going along and making sure you're getting the correct data. So again, it tends to mark some of the URLs through the links. But it's just extra information. It's getting the bio. It's getting all the LinkedIn ones. And it's going to go through all of them. I'm actually going to end it right here, midway. It's going to give me the pop-up to let me know it's done. Because what I want to do is just show you what it looks like again. And I don't need to sit through this the whole time. So here's what it's going to look like when it comes up. Again, we're just going to change the row heights because we don't need it in that format. I'm going to expand on most of the fields here just so you get a sense of what it looks like. So you don't need the web scraper. You don't need the start URL. You don't even really need the link. But what you get is name. Here's the bio. It's going to be pretty long. That's why it looks all weird. You get the company. You get the LinkedIn reference. And I could have got anything else in any other order I wanted. So, this has many uses from LinkedIn. You can do it on Facebook. You can do it on Angels List. Anytime you've ever wanted it to do something automatically, this is an easy, let me take that back. It's not easy. But this is a way we could go about doing it. So hope this helps some of you. I know it's a little bit more technical than some of the other videos. So if you're just starting out, you might want to stay with Data Miner or Instant Data Scraper or some of the more simplistic ones. But for those of you who are a little bit more technically advanced or want a bit of a challenge, this is probably one of the best free ones on the market that I've got my hands on.